You ever see a headline that just completely stops you in your tracks? Well, today we're going to dig into one of those. It's a really startling statement from Uganda's military chief, and it might just be hinting at a massive shift in alliances across Africa and the Middle East. Let's get right into it. So, here it is. This is the headline that got our attention. I mean, on the face of it, it's pretty shocking, right? You just don't see a top military official from a major African country talking openly about jumping into a potential war between Israel and Iran. But the real kicker, the part that makes this a genuine puzzle, is that last little phrase, is also payback. We've got to figure out what that's all about. To really get the weight of this thing, we have to pull it apart. So let's deconstruct it. We'll look at each piece of the puzzle, the who, the what, and the where, to see the much bigger picture it's painting. All right, first step, let's talk about who said this. The Uganda military chief. Now, this is absolutely crucial. This isn't some diplomat or a politician just floating a test balloon. When a top general speaks, those words carry the full weight of the country's military and its national security strategy. This isn't just chatter, it could be a real signal of intent coming straight from the defense establishment. Okay, next, look at the action itself. Suggests joining Israel. This is so much more than just a statement of moral support. The word joining, that implies a real partnership, an actual military alignment. A move like that would totally upend Uganda's traditional foreign policy and its place among its neighbors in Africa. And then you have the context, which just sends the stakes through the roof. An Iran war. We're not talking about some vague general cooperation here. This ties Uganda's name to one of the most volatile and dangerous potential conflicts on the entire planet. It immediately makes you ask, why on earth would Uganda even think about getting involved in something so far away and so incredibly risky? And that why brings us to the most fascinating and honestly, the most mysterious part of this whole headline. It's this little hint of a motive, but it's all wrapped up in a question. It's this idea of payback. You've got to notice the punctuation here. That little question mark at the end changes everything. See, without it, it is also payback would be a pretty clear threat, a statement of revenge. But with it, the meaning gets way more complicated. Is he just testing the waters? Is this a genuine question for his own people? Or maybe it's some kind of coded message about a historical debt that most of us don't even know exists. Which, of course, leads to the billion-dollar question. Payback for what exactly? The headline gives us nothing. It just leaves this huge, gaping hole, forcing everyone to guess about Uganda's past. And you know, that deliberate ambiguity is probably what makes the statement so powerful. Okay, so we've taken the headline apart. Now let's put it back together and look at the real-world stakes. A statement like this doesn't just happen in a vacuum. If they were to ever act on this, it would set off a whole cascade of geopolitical risks for Uganda. You know, a pivot this dramatic could trigger a really dangerous domino effect. Siding so openly with Israel against Iran would almost certainly tick off some of Uganda's key partners in the African Union. It could totally jeopardize critical trade relationships, especially within the East African community. Just imagine the economic fallout. We're talking about things like coffee exports, a huge part of their economy, or imports of essential goods getting all tangled up. And that's before you even think about the sheer cost of diverting resources to a foreign war. It's a perfect storm, really. Diplomatic drama leads to trade problems, which could create serious instability right back at home. So, you might be wondering, why are we spending so much time on just one sentence? Well, it's because in the world of global politics, sometimes these tiny little signals can warn you about massive events before they happen. Learning how to read between the lines is everything. And really, that's the bottom line here. These kinds of statements are almost never an accident. A headline like this is like a little window that gives us a peek into the kind of strategic thinking that's happening behind closed doors. Whether it's just a test to see how friends and enemies react, or a genuine sign of a change to come, it's a clear signal that the ground is shifting under our feet. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Now that you've seen how much can be packed into just a few words, what other quiet little shifts are being hinted at in the headlines you're reading today? What clues are being dropped right now that might just define the conflicts and alliances of tomorrow? Thanks for tuning in.